Okay, so the voice of Super Saiyan Gohan. One of the things that I have a lot of people want to know is how do you feel about the progression that Gohan has taken in the series?
Oh, as far as getting up to the Cell Saga?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think it's really cool because as a voice actor, and when all of this was being dubbed, I'm just, I don't want to say it's like, oh, it's just going to work, because I don't mean it like that. But like,
right.
When I would go to my session and I'd be before session, I'd show up, I would not even know what's on the table. Like, I wouldn't even know what scene is next, what my lines are, anything. So I go into a session blind. So from what I know and remember from recording, I didn't know how long I'd be voicing. I mean, I thought I'd just be voicing Gohan until whenever. But then as I went in and learned more, this was what came up was the Super Saiyan Gohan,
the Super
kind
Saiyan
of his
Gohan.
big culmination where he kind of like had held all this power and all of this, well, really this power and strength he didn't even know he had, and then all of a sudden he's fighting this big enemy, and then people had to band together and help him, and he had to use all of the experience he'd had and channel all of that to.
A lot of people feel like that, whereas people start to feel like he was losing his way, because it's like he hit his peak right there.
Yeah.
Like that was Gohan's peak. After that, it was like
right. And I didn't even know. I mean, I hear the feedback from the fans all the time, which is really fun. I really like to hear what people have to say about different things. And the character development was one that I tend to hear a lot about Gohan as he kind of grows up and experiences a lot of things kind of in the background and being in the background watching a lot of things go on, and how it contributed to how he perceives things as he grows older. But yeah, I think that from what I know, it was kind of a peak for him. Kind of being in the limelight there during that battle with Cell Saga.
So, and here we go.
Trap anime, trap anime, trap anime, trap anime, trap anime, trap anime, the real anime podcast.
This is the Real Anime Podcast.
This is the Real Anime Podcast.
This is the Real Anime Podcast.
We bring
trap
to anime.
I am Strong Arm.
I am Captain Kurt.
And I am Token Day. This is the Trap Anime.
This is Trap Anime.
And this is Trap Anime.
Bitch.
It's Doug Demaclone, owner of the Pimpsdale Nigga Gnome, and I'm here with Naruto Nigga Rocky.
Too much shit on your plate?
Clones!
Too many tasks around the house?
Clones!
Too much to do at work?
Clones!
Then I got things for you. Hi, I'm Naruto Nigga Rocky with a clone for each and every one of your bullshit ass moves.
Clones!
We got your red clones, blue clones, yellow clones, purple.
Clones!
We got your 1 clone, 2 clones, 3 clones, 4. Fuck it, maybe 100 clones.
Clones!
Weak ass village needs a favor?
Clones!
Can't satisfy your wife?
Clones!
Need a rob couple of niggas?
And now, this world shall know pain.
I got them clones for y'all.
I got the clones for you.
The hip bone next to the clone bone.
Warning. Side effects of clones are talk no jutsu, depression, loss of power, and tons of filler episodes. If you experience any of these symptoms, we don't give a fuck and you should probably go fuck yourself. If you are allergic to clones, contact your doctor immediately because that is cap and you are full of shit.
Come on down today and get your clone on the way.
Clones!
So welcome to Trap Anime, everybody. I am Strong Arm, and I'm here with Stephanie Nadolny.
Hey!
The voice actress of not only Kid Goku, but Super Saiyan Gohan.
Yes.
The best Gohan of them all.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's a compliment.
So as you can see, I did a couple art pieces for her. She loves them, of course.
Yes, I do. They're beautiful.
And also, so one of the things I wanted to know, what made you want to get into voice acting? How did you get into voice acting?
That's a very good question. I know we all have our own history with however we got to where we're at. With me in particular, at a very, very young age, I knew that I was going to be pursuing, and even just for fun, something to do with my voice. And it started with not just the voice, but with music. And so I at a very, very young age, as far back as I can remember, I want to say around 3, I knew that was going to be something I wanted to pursue. I wanted to be around music. I wanted to be I knew I wanted to be a singer, and using my voice.
So you have a beautiful voice,
singer.
huh?
Oh, thank you. Well, I hope some people say that. I mean, I was able to make a career out of it, so I guess I could say yes.
You know, little birdie told me you also play an instrument.
And really?
Yeah, little birdie told me you play an instrument.
Birdie.
A little birdie.
I took piano lessons growing up.
Yeah.
And I have been returning to my roots of taking piano lessons because I'm teaching piano and keyboards to children who want to pursue music as a career, whether it be singing or singing in bands, performing in bands, forming a band, leading a band, singing, songwriting, whatever it is. Playing an instrument is always really good, whether you're going to be a singer or not. I mean, and both is even better, because you can possibly be your one-man band, a one-woman band, show up and accompany yourself and perform too. So that might have been what you heard, is that I
love the piano. I wanted to learn how to piano so bad, and I also wanted to learn how to play the bass.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's one of my favorites. Is the bass.
What people don't know is I used to be in the band.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I was in the band all the way from middle school to college.
Okay.
All the way. I played the tuba.
Oh, you did? Oh my goodness! What a trivia about it.
Right?
I love the tuba. That's a tough one though. That's a big, large instrument. But I'm telling you, that live band, like marching band sound, that tuba, you feel it.
Everything.
You feel it in your booty.
You feel it in your soul.
In your soul, baby. But it's funny you said bass, because I grew up in the disco era as a young kid, and I was gravitated. The bass line was everything in disco. I mean, it was everything, because you had to have that foundation, and bass in general is a foundation, but
it is.
I definitely gravitated towards that instrument as one that I like to listen to and I like to hear in a band, is that bass line.
Yes,
it's the rhythm section too.
Yeah, that's where you start. You start with the bass, and then you build up from there.
Right. The bass and drums have got to be there, depending on whatever you're doing. I mean, if you're some bands are duos, trios, or quartets, whatever it is.
But they still have some kind of bass line. Somebody's doing the bass line. It could be a flute quartet.
Exactly.
One
There's
of those
gotta
you're
be
gonna have
something.
a bass flute.
You gotta lay down that groove too.
Oh, yeah.
So I've always been a big fan of that, the rhythm section. And then as I grew up, after learning to play the piano, I actually played by ear. We had a piano that my mom had gotten from the family, and so it was just there. So I'd play on it anyway. I'd get in trouble playing on it too early or playing on it too loud. But I was fascinated with piano, music, singing, and then voices. As far as character voices or voices in general, I became captivated by that as well, whether it be through cartoons, TV shows, people in my life, my babysitter, whatever. I had an ear for anything voice, anything sound related, and as a result, now here I am, years later, doing a little bit of all of that.
A little bit of all of that.
I didn't actually pursue directly a voice-over career. That's not where it began. The voice is definitely a part of what I do.
It just kind of made you.
It made my way.
It was that stepping stone to bigger things.
To doing other things, right. And to this day, I'm still blown away at the popularity of this voice. I mean, just being cast in this role years and years ago. And so conventions, and that's how we met, getting out and about. And
by the way, you guys, we met at WeebCon 2021. Yes, we met.
DFW.
I got her to sign another piece. I'll put that at the end of the video.
Yes, I was instantly like, wow, look at this cool artwork. I mean, it's amazing. It's a talent in itself, and it's a creative artistic talent.
Thank you so much.
I love them. They're great. Check them out.
I thought about going into voice acting myself. I was like, maybe, but I was like, I don't know. I feel like my voice is lispy. I don't know.
It's a character, though. You can make your own voice a character, and that's what's cool. And some people that pursue voice acting as a career have something they're passionate about, or it's something they're already good at, and sometimes it's both. And if it can be all of the above, then more power to you. And that's what I ended up doing, was learning how to sing and learn listening and training my ear just being a kid and just listening to what's going on around me and utilizing that voice and mimicking. I did a ton of mimicking. I still to this day do it.
Yeah.
Because it's just so much fun to see. It's a challenge for me to see just how many different voices I can produce, whether they're original or mimicking
let's see
characters.
What you got. Let's see what you got.
Oh my gosh, you know, I need to get like a little routine and have it like stream from voice. You know, I can do anything from Beavis and Butthead to Cartman to
I gotta hear Cartman. Let me hear Cartman.
No kidding. No kidding. That's my pepper. Stop it, man.
I started getting into those voices just from hearing them playing in the background of whether it was I was in college or was on in the background. Beavis and Butthead I was into because I was a big MTV fan growing up because I was around since its inception. I think was 81.
Right, when it was still music.
When it was all music video. I mean, that's what we did. I mean,
it's no longer music.
You didn't even have to be. I mean, you can even wanting to pursue music as a career. I mean, everybody I hung out with had their favorite music or what. That's just a genre. It's like, what do you like to listen to? I mean, everybody likes to listen to something.
And they played it all.
Right. And we and then the whole getting to watch, you know, the video Kill the Radio Star, the whole thing with the Buggles, and that's. I mean, all we had before that prior was radio and cassette tapes and albums, vinyl, whatever you want to call it. And when I was when I was first born, my dad and people his age were listening to 8-track tapes.
Oh yeah.
And then you'd have to like listen to it on a stereo that would literally cut into 4 quadrants. Like things have really come a long way.
It has.
And I don't have a clue where it's going, but it's literally your fingertips. I mean, you know, that wasn't
like the amount of technology and energy
yeah.
that you have in one little small device.
And I think about it driving around in my car and doing whatever I've learned, you know, and having to pull over and use a payphone. Like, I can't even imagine what things are going to be like even 10 years from now, 5, 10, 20 years from now, or even long after we're gone, where technology is going to go.
Where is it going to be?
I mean,
like, we're going to have flying
we're just
cars.
Little blips, you know, we're just little vapors.
Levitating tables.
Right. We're going to be like, oh, do you remember? Oh, my mom and dad and my grandparents had to drive cars to get around.
You got to sit through a 3-hour movie.
They had to put gas in a tank and like, yeah.
You got to sit through a 3-hour movie. They just beam it to your brain.
Beam it to your brain, or you just blink of an eye and you can be wherever you want. Like, I mean, I can't even imagine where it's going, but yeah. But no, my particular journey started out with music, gravitating to music, voices, anything I could be through. First role was in voice acting through the music industry is how I got into it, actually, with singing with some bands and some in the studios where I met the producer. So that's kind of how that happened. But some of the voice, the first voice I was cast in, Crazy, was a little boy voice, and it was Gohan in the Ginyu Saga, and his voice was kind of like, "Don't hurt my dad, no!" And then, of course, he grows older and then gets a little more mature, and his voice deepens at the tender young age of 11. Can you believe he's 11?
He was doing this at 11.
He's all like, "I'll never forgive you for this.
I won't give up."
Yeah, exactly. So I had to morph the voice much lower and try to come up with the toughest, I don't want to say meanest, I guess you can say meanest, but the gruffest, most powerful, strong male voice I could come up with.
Okay.
It's an honor to be able to voice that character. I mean, I guess it would have been up to the director to either recast, thinking that it needed to go to a male at that point. So I'm very happy that I was able to produce that voice and keep the character up through, I guess, right before he goes to Gohan goes to school.
So were you cast for Kid Gohan or Kid Goku first?
Kid Gohan.
Really?
Kid Gohan, yes, way back in the day, and I'm talking
because the dub didn't come out till after, right?
Well, and it also had to do with where the company was encompassing the property and where it was already being dubbed in all over the world, but at the point in time was Canada. And so the ocean dub was actually the producer would go up and travel to Canada and capture all of the data in whatever format they were using at the time, and then bring it back and have it all automated and whatever edited down. So when I got the call to audition, that's where Barry Watson's moved. Well, he was already local in DFW, and it's like, you know what, I'm going to recast the show in the DFW era, which is flooded with amazing talent, and then it would just be like, hey, right to work state, paid by the hour they're done. So kind of like worked out best in a business sense for the company of Filmation at the time. And I wasn't really aware of any of that anyway. I was just riding the curtails of being in show business.
Just trying to make some money.
Yeah, I traveled with the show band. I was
like,
constantly
I don't know
on the
nothing
road.
about this. I'm just here.
I was happy to have something open up in an arena where I could utilize my voice in a different manner, because I had grown up in theater and dancing and choir and everything involving show business. So I was able to actually.
That was me.
Were you?
I was in everything. I did theater, dance. I was in choir, church.
Yes.
I did band.
Yeah.
I was in student council.
Right.
I was in the science club.
Right.
I did everything.
I know. I was actually doing too much. It was actually wore me out, and we were moving around every 3 years, and I'd have to start over with a new school and a whole new group of kids, and mostly small towns. And so, I mean, now it's maybe stronger and more resilient too.
Right.
Just being thrown into whatever situation with whoever's going to be around, whether it be in the workplace or out.
Yeah.
But at the time it was crazy because I was just constantly changing. But a good thing too is I was able to utilize that experience into my acting, into my characters. I learned from life experience just as much as I did from acting.
Right.
From lessons, from being in productions, from listening and watching others in the industry. Like all of it encompassed my personal experience.
Yeah.
And then knowing and meeting the right people along the way was part of it. But I was pursuing my singing in the studio when I met, being out and about in the industry sometimes can be a good thing when you're pursuing the show business in general, because you may or may not meet someone in the industry that could either further that or say, hey, I've got an audition, or hey, maybe you should try to get an agent.
That's networking.
It's networking.
You got to network.
If you're already immersed in it, that's already good. But then you could possibly have somebody that meets you or hears your voice. For me personally, I thought I'd be singing, music, and recording contracts. Wanted to do, and that's how it was for me. I mean, everybody has a backstory as to how they got into it, and there's definitely a lot of people wanting to get into it more than ever.
Yeah,
with anime and voiceover really being
so popular.
It seems like it's more mainstream now. Even anime.
It is.
So but that's my story's just a little bit different. I did have the acting background. I did have all of that.
Yeah, but
my goal was to be a singer.
Wasn't for that. It wasn't for that.
It was a singer, and then the voices was...
it fell in my lap.
Right. It's like, that's the right time. That was more than anything, and then actually getting to get the audition. It wasn't necessarily this big cattle call, and all agencies and all companies have different ways of acquiring their talent.
Right.
So for me, it worked out because I was in the right place at the right time. In a studio recording, singing with Brave Combo out of Denton, Texas, to a Grammy Award-winning polka band, and that's when Barry was there because he was also there for the project I was working on.
Right.
And then that's when the balls started rolling, and then that's how it happened. I gave him my business card. Hey, have you ever done voice work? Well, I do it all the time just for fun. He could sense something animated about my voice, and that's what got me the audition. And then as far as getting the role of Gohan, that was just, well, here you go. I mean, that was crazy. So I tried out for all the female roles.
Really?
Yeah.
Like
I didn't know. Yeah, Poir.
No.
I mean, I didn't know who these characters were. I certainly wasn't a shy person, so I was ready to just kind of like give them whatever they.
So when you
follow direction.
So when you guys record, do you record together or do everybody record separately?
In my experience, it's been separate.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I've done some non-anime work at Cartoon Network, and there was one
the KOKO.
Yes, the OKKO.
Yeah.
That was around, I want to say 15 is when I started recording that, 15 and 16. And there was one really cool moment where Cartoon Network flew me in, and I was able to record with the entire cast in the same room. They had us all set up in little cubicles, and we had our own equipment and microphones and paper scripts, and whatever. It was kind of old school, but it was really cool to actually be in the same room and then feed off the energy of the other actors and
that's
actresses.
What I would think, like feeding off the energy of each other.
Yeah.
Being like, because I've always loved being in person with people, because being
there's something different about it, about
versus
facial expression, gestures.
It's always a bigger vibe,
right?
Feeling.
I think it's a more easy to encompass to really get into character. And then with OKKO, that was a non-anime project where there were just sketches, and then we would act from the sketches of what we could see, but the animation wasn't done yet. None of that was done. So that was kind of a different experience in the sense that they record first, and then animate around the voice.
Okay.
There's still the same direction involved, but it's just a matter of. So that was just a really unique, cool experience to actually be in LA. You know, being a Dallas-Fort Worth actor, actress, whatever, and then being able to fly out there and meet the cast, meet the director, and it was a crazy experience. Like
that sounds like a crazy.
You got to be really good. I mean, really efficient at what you do.
So, who from the Dragon Ball cast do you hang with the most, or do you hang with any of them?
We've all just kind of dispersed. I mean, some people from the original cast. When you say original cast, I'm thinking OG, like original.
Like anybody that was in the Cell Saga,
back in the day.
Back in the day.
Some of the people that I see here mostly lately are going to be people that I appear with either at comic book signings or conventions. And most recently, that's been Tiffany Vollmer, voice of Bulma, which we were cast around the same time. We got to know each other through the music industry, and we're both like hippie Denton people. UNT, which is where I went to college. I believe she went there too.
I almost went to UNT.
Yeah,
I did.
Well, it's a great school for music too.
It was. I
mean, there were musicians everywhere. I mean, no wonder I loved it. I mean, I hung out with all the musicians, even though I was majoring in dramatic arts.
Yeah,
I was wanting to get an arts and sciences degree.
Yeah, that was my secondary school. I almost went there. I applied. I got accepted, but the tuition was more than I wanted. So I bet. So I ended up going to Texas Southern, which is HBCU. So yeah.
But hey, you furthered your education. Not everybody has the opportunity to do that. Right. And it's crazy for me because even though I wanted to be in show business, and thankfully I have been able to and make a living at it, growing up I was very scholastic. Like I always was an overachiever and wanted to always make straight A's. I never had to be pushed to study, or I was always trying to do as much and acquire as much knowledge as I could, and that just was just a natural thing. But then when I went to college, I had an opportunity. I met the right people in that sense. Till we started our own band, and I was in a band with some guys that were a year, 2, 3, 4 years older, and I was kind of the baby. I was only 18.
Yeah.
So I started singing in my own band, and then I got swiftly invited to audition for a show band that needed what they call a Valiant. So I joined a band called Vince Vance and the Valiants. Vince Vance and the Valiants, featured vivacious vixens of rock and roll, Venus, Violet, and Victoria, or whatever names we came up with. I mean, my V name I chose was Violet because I like the color purple. So from then on, I never looked back. I thought I'd do that for a year or two, be in a band, and boy, once I was on the road traveling and touring and singing, dancing, and acting with a big giant show band all over the United States and even parts of Europe and Canada, I never looked back.
Really?
So I never went back to college and got my degree. I was able to make it happen. I was just...
That's what I try to tell people.
I was addicted, man. I was on the stage performing. I was learning things that couldn't be taught at a university, really.
Yeah. Sometimes you actually have to have those real life experiences to make it to where you... Because I thought I was going to go into psychology. I was like, I'm going to go into psychology, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to become a marriage counselor, I'm going to do this,
Yeah.
But then as life goes on...
Yeah, you just don't know.
You just be like, you know what?
Maybe.
I love this, I love that. So I was like, okay, so I love to cook, so I started becoming a cook. Okay. And then I was like, okay, I love anime, so I decided I'm going to make me a podcast. That way I just talk about anime all day.
I think that's great. A lot of people that I do interviews with they have all kinds of different jobs, but they love, whether it be radio or, like you said, podcasts. I mean, you can do it now from, I guess, we're doing it remotely, but you can do it from your house. I mean, that's another thing I still haven't done is I would love to have a podcast or like get on TikTok or some of these new video type things
TikTok
and like
so hard
capture these moments. I know I haven't, man, life moves really fast.
It does.
It really does. Like, even in a pandemic, things are just, So, I mean, there's still things I still want to do, but I know my passion has always been singing music, and then now voice acting, of course, and the character voices. And I've dabbled in some comedy, and that just kind of came naturally, just trying being funny, improv. And I actually was involved in working for a company, freelancing, writing comedic parodies for radio, like Weird Al Yankovic. Okay. Have you heard of him?
Oh, yes.
I
love Weird Al.
And he's Polish. He plays the accordion, you guys. It's so cool. I'm Polish. Part of my heritage is Polish, and so I always thought it was funny that he would change. I don't know. I'm a Scottish.
You
I don't
were
know.
from no, not that you're from. Australia.
Oh,
something about Australia.
I've been there.
Okay.
I've been asked to come over and be involved in some of the conventions and appearances over there. Australia, New Zealand.
Yeah, I've been out to Australia before. I went to all over Australia. Went for a student ambassador program.
Oh, you did? What a cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was
I
called
encourage
People to People
that.
Student Ambassador Program, and we went all out. And we went all around, and we got to hang with the Aborigines. We got to see Sydney.
You are kidding.
Got to swim in the Great Barrier Reef.
Oh, I did that.
Yeah,
I did that. Yes, I had to do that.
It was so cool.
I flew in early. This was 2004. I was able to go and plan a trip early so I could do that. Yes. I had to go to the Great Barrier Reef. It was cold.
It was.
And then I tried alligator. I never thought I would ever do that because I'm like, how could you? I mean, I don't know. There's
alligator's delicious. But
I had
have you
to
ever
try
tried
it, right?
kangaroo?
Yes.
Kangaroo.
I had to try that when I went back in 2012. I tried kangaroo.
Yes, kangaroo.
I still felt weird. I don't know. I mean, the animal concept. I don't know. We all have our boundaries and our beliefs, but I had to try it because it was, it was there.
Oh, I was hanging with the Aborigines and they cooked it up for me.
See,
they cooked up the.
I learned so much about the Aborigines.
It was almost close to neck bones.
Okay.
Or oxtails.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, neck bones or oxtail. That was what it was close to.
It's kind of like the saying "when in Rome." That means when in Rome, do what the Romans do. So, like, it's always good to even now. I try to go to not just chain. Nothing against chain restaurants or like when I go out to eat, but I do like to try restaurants when I'm traveling that are either mom and pop or unique to that area. Like more than ever, I've been to New Orleans more than anywhere else because the band I was performing with for so long. Which, by the way, we're celebrating our 50th year. Vince Vance and the Valiants.
Ooh.
I was not even born when the band started. I was just a gleam in my parents' eye, which is happening in a couple of weeks.
Okay, so that's what.
But we went to New Orleans a lot because the band originated in 1971 on Bourbon Street, New Orleans. So when I was traveling with the band mostly through my 20s and 30s, we would go back to New Orleans all the time, and all around Alabama, the South, all around that whole area, immediate area, and I got to know so many people, and they became like my second family. I mean, we'd do things together. We'd hang out together. We'd have like this posse. We'd all hang out with other kids. We'd all go out to eat after the show.
With friends and
these years of one-on-one contact, meeting people that are watching Dragon Ball either for the first time or they're sharing it with their friends or their spouse, and now they're watching it all over with their kids.
Yeah, I'm watching it with my kids now.
Little kid Goku, and you gotta hear some of his voice too.
Of course.
Why do girls have butts on their chests?
With these pop toys and some of these signings,
classic.
I'm getting people saying, "Can you write a quote?"
Can you write that?
Here's my favorite quote. What's your favorite quote? It's been crazy, and I'm bringing some my business manager with me too, who happens to be my bass player with my band Moonglass.
Really?
I have my own band.
Yeah.
It's been on hiatus because of COVID, but he's just like, this is just a whole new world out there. This anime, comic book, pop culture conventions are just crazy. You've got people dressing up as their favorite characters. You've got comic book artists. The vendors are from all over doing all different things. So it's like a...
Yes, the rise in anime has come. Everybody is loving it now.
Anime in general, right?
Like back in like the early 2000s, it wasn't as popular, but now it's like everybody loves it.
And there were people that were bullied for it, and I can relate to bullying. So like that, my heart's behind that.
Like you people that got bullied, and
they're dressing up. This is their moment
now we
to
feel
be
more
accepted.
Like
you have something that you believe in, and you're not judged for it. And I think that's the
beautiful thing about it.
Is if they love it, they love it, man.
Dress how you want to dress. Love what you want to love.
Right. I remember. That's funny you said that because I was really into when I was around 12 or 13. I was really into Boy George and Culture Club. It was an 80s group. Well, Boy George at the time, even though he was, I say now he was a kid when he went into the business, but I loved his voice first and foremost. But when I saw who he was on, MTV, I remember just being amazed by him, regardless of how he dressed or looked. But I dressed up like Boy George for Halloween when I was like, I don't know, like I said, 12 or 13, and I I was bullied for that. And I to this day was like, why were people bullied? Because we at that age is going to bully. Kids are mean, immature. They haven't grown up, right? Did you say it's the law?
No, I said they still are.
They still are, yes.
They're still mean.
In every which way you can think of. But, and that we were kids, but I remember dressing up as Boy George and went to the skating rink, and I did the braids and all the colorful ribbons in the hair and the big shirt and the makeup and I mean that was my thing. And to this day, I mean, I'm like, regardless of
why did that happen?
I'm like Boy George, and he was a big part of my music love and passion was in the 80s, and that was my, you have your favorite, and now I hear it all the time. I'm hearing all this 80s music come back.
Oh yeah, 80s.
I mean, when I was a kid, the 60s was popular. The 50s, 60s, and 70s music was popular because our parents, our parents and grandparents listen to that, and then it just some of it sticks around.
It trickles down.
Some of it is classic. Some of it you listen to, and then you get older and you decide you're not really so much into that anymore. That may be what you've been forced to listen to.
Like, you know what? That wasn't the best thing I was listening to.
But it's all part of what you take in.
Right, because even to this day, when I look back at some of the music stuff I listened to, I'm like,
yeah,
what was I thinking? Like, this was I was jamming.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess
that was your jam, though. And that was maybe part of your escape from whatever it is you know, life or struggles, or that's another thing I've learned is through kind of like going in through life and going through some really personal adversity, especially over the past like 5-6 years. Like what I had to learn was how to escape from those things and recover from loss and grief. My mom died when I was young, and a lot of things happen, and real life happens. Everybody, whether you're an artist, whatever you do for a living.
Yeah.
So I what I'm interested in hearing in lately is how the fans of, say, Dragonball Z, or these characters were a source of not only entertainment but also a source of solace and a way to help them through a hard time in their life. And that for me is very gratifying to hear these stories of what my work that I did even years and years ago has benefited
even generations,
people of all ages, kids, girls, boys, whatever it was that they were going through. I mean, even people from other countries, and I hear about,
because I know when you auditioned
like, man, Dragonball Z was my thing, got me through. You're the voice of my childhood. I mean, I hear this all day long, and I still can't wrap my head around that.
Like when I auditioned for this, I
don't feel famous. I don't feel like a celebrity, and people will tell me this, and I'm like, no, I'm just me. I'm just Stephanie. I'm just doing my thing, and that's just what I do.
And that's how it feels sometimes, because even me, like, sometimes I'll go out and somebody like, oh, Trap Anime, I know you. I follow you. I'm like, really? Oh.
They're going to start recognizing you more from social media.
Right, like, I don't feel like a celebrity, but apparently I am. I feel like just somebody just sitting at a desk.
Well, there's a staple, a brand ambassador for your own brand, or for whatever it is that you promote, or whatever it is you do. And I don't know what it wasn't meant to be, because we didn't have this kind of stuff when I was your age or a kid, and I can't even imagine what I would have been doing had I had access to this technology. I mean, videos and recordings and writing music, and I would have had so many more avenues to create.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's kids now that's recording on their phone.
And there's YouTube channels, and there's
how to do it, how to, and everything too. So
yes, and you can get with your musicians and record remotely. And it's just the world is just limitless. And more so now than ever. So that's why, anytime somebody asks me if they want to get into it and how, I'm like, my gosh, I feel like I'm kind of out of the loop. Like, there's so many ways to get into this industry of voice acting and music and things like that. And you just got to get out there and do it. And if that's really truly what you want to do, you listen to it, you listen to others. There's workshops, there's all kinds of avenues for people to get into anything they want to do. Like I said, though, if you already have that passion as a young child and you've already kind of been doing it, then it's just going to be even easier.
Second nature.
And if you're good at it, if you have a knack for it, or you have a natural ability, well, then do it.
Right.
If that's what you want to pursue. And if you can make a living at it,
great.
Hey, you
100.
You have arrived.
You hit the jackpot, right?
You're good. Yeah.
Like, as long as you can do it to pay the bills, that's perfect.
And if you do something you really truly enjoy.
You have a valuable skill and asset and contribution to society.
Right, exactly. And that could be, it's different for everybody. I mean, for me, I was very fortunate in the sense that, as much as I wanted to be this big child star and I want to go be in LA or New York, wherever you got to be to do this, and this, that wasn't the case. My parents did what they did, and they had their jobs, and we moved around. And then once I got into college and I was an adult, then it was up to me to either get the degree or go on the road or do whatever it was. And fortunately, DFW, Dallas-Fort Worth area, Denton in general, we call it Little D. Little D's not so little anymore, people. This whole Metroplex is ginormous.
It is.
It's like town.
Denton has grown a lot.
A lot.
It has, it really even has. Back when I was about to go to UNT, it's changed since then. That was 10 years ago.
It was huge for me coming from small towns and moving around a lot, but I still live up that way. I still live in that area, and I remember, some people still think it's like, wow, you live in Denton or you live up. That's really far away. Like that's really north. Like people would tease me all the time. Well, you're driving to Oklahoma. You got to go back. You got to go drive home back to Oklahoma. And I'm like, what are you trying to say? I used to live in Oklahoma. Those are my people too. So it's just
we're right around the corner. It's okay.
And I drive all the way. For what I do now, being a freelance and contract labor, freelance voice actor, singer, whatever you want to call me, really. I drive all the time and commute all the time. I mean, it's, to me, driving, like today, Richardson to Plano to Dallas to Euless and to Arlington, and then now I'll be going to Fort Worth. It's like, that's just what you do. I mean, if you got to be there and you've got an appointment or you got an interview or you have a job or you have a session or you're meeting with a musician or you're teaching, that can take you anywhere.
Oh, yes.
And,
Because, even me, since I'm a cook, I'd have to drive all the way to North Dallas to DeSoto.
Okay.
Then I came over here to Arlington.
Oh, well, what are we, now next time we're going to have to cook?
Yes.
We'll do a podcast about you cooking and I get
I'll
to try.
cook for you.
Goku's always hungry.
That's a funny joke for me personally. Is I say that and it seems like everybody understands. We all got to eat.
All right. So next time, I promise you, I'm gonna cook for you. How about that?
All right, that sounds
I'm gonna cook for you, and I'll have another painting for you.
Okay, that sounds great.
Speaking of paintings, if anybody wants a painting, hit me up. I do commission.
Your favorite characters, and do you specialize in any artwork? Like, do you draw or do you specialize in anime characters or
I specialize in anime characters, but I can do any character. Any character from anything. I'll put anything on anything.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Because really, my artwork is the background.
Right, yes, that's I love that.
So my artwork is the background. So the actual character that's on it, that's, me saying, I feel like this character deserves this background.
It's like, hey, showcase and enhance something that you already like and appreciate.
Right.
And then you've got this nice, what am I trying to say? They're all unique.
Yeah, there's
like
no
none
duplicating.
of them look the same.
Yeah, I can never duplicate this. You will never find another. So you have unique, customized, one of a kind artwork.
And then you can have these made for people, and then if it's a character that they can maybe go get the autograph of,
right,
you can go have them autographed, which is like even cooler.
Which is
and
what
maybe
I was
has
doing.
more value at that point.
Oh, tons of more value.
Yeah.
Tons more. Like, because at WeebCon I had got the Sean Schindler WeebCon.
Yeah.
And that was a wonderful raffle too.
You work hard these days to get these autographs. I see a lot of people collecting autographs, and you got to make it to the place. You got to be where you can get there. You got to pay to get in. Wait in the long line if there's a long line, and there are a lot of long lines.
A lot of long lines.
Especially when there's multiple.
It is. People,
actors and multiple fans and people in different. With the pandemic, it's been even harder for people to
because anything like everybody's been itching to go out and find something. So anything that's happening, everybody's like, yes, I'm going to go do that. I got to do it. It's
not something you can snap your fingers and just have in your hands. No. It takes time, effort, and blood, sweat, and tears, right, guys?
It does. A lot of late nights.
Yeah. I mean, there's people that do it actually for a living. They go out and they collect autographs on these really popular current items, like these pop toys and the Shenron. Have you seen the Shenron one?
Yeah.
It's like this giant. Yeah, it's the giant Shenron from Dragonball Z, and then it's big. It's right there.
This Shenron.
Yeah. Isn't that cool? And so it's got more space on it. Not only is it's got more space. It's really big. So we can anybody that had a voice or a character and voiced a character in the series can sign it with various colored pink pens, and then it becomes this collector's item.
Right.
So it's crazy, like so freaking cool.
I actually did a piece. It was a 3-man piece. You actually signed it at WeebCon.
All right.
Somebody had bought it from me. It was a circle of Master Roshi.
Okay.
Kid
I saw it. It was cool.
Yes.
It was like the scenery from Dragon Ball with the shadows.
Yeah. So
you knew who they were by the shadows.
Yeah.
Which is so neat. I have that on my. Well, it's in the background. My screenshot saver. My wallpaper is a big moon in Goku. Little Goku is streaming along on his little Nimbus.
On the Nimbus.
But it looks like Halloween to me because it's like he's just flying along.
Yeah.
Being Kid Goku, and there's the moon in the background. I don't know. It's just kind of neato.
That is neat.
Halloween's coming up, that's a big holiday for a lot of people.
So many costumes, so many ideas.
Cosplays.
I'm like, what am I going to cosplay?
People are decorating for it already, and it's what, September 8th? No, it's time. I'm ready.
That's hoodie weather.
It is,
I love hoodie weather.
especially when we get all this hot, humid weather. It seems like over half the year, we're stuck in North Texas.
Texas, we don't have coats. We have hoodies.
We got the in-betweener stuff. We can't always have the heavy coat.
You have the light jacket.
You gotta have the layers.
Yes.
Unless it's summer, then
but
no
big
layers.
Jacket, well,
yeah, exactly.
So that's why when it snows, we be like, I don't know what to do.
We don't know what to do.
Shut it down. Shut everything down.
If everything's freezing down, we don't know what to do.
Shut it down. We'll pick this up tomorrow. Hopefully it'll thaw out.
Yeah. And if it sticks around where it's even worse.
Right. We're like, 2 days? Well, 2 days off,
week,
I guess so.
More loggers. Like, what are we going to do? We are trapped.
Oh, the lights went off. Oh,
yeah, electricity.
Trouble.
Yeah, I know.
So that's what happened this last year.
It did.
We had a big
we
ice
call it
storm.
snowpocalypse. It was insane. It
was crazy.
My car was broken down, and I think it was probably a good thing because I didn't have a car for well over 2 weeks because not only was I trapped and couldn't drive, but the people that were going to work on it couldn't work on it.
Really?
Because it was stuck outside,
of course.
trapped under the snow. They weren't working. They couldn't get to work. So that was crazy. They're like,
oh, your car's stuck? I guess so.
And we had already had the pandemic. So you had a pandemic going on, and then that happened, and we just didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Pandemic time. This is crazy. I swear to God, I've lost like 2 years of my life for some reason.
I think a lot of us have. And then finding what are we going to do when the pandemic? I mean, how are we going to make our money? How are we going to make our bills? Some companies flourished. I mean, online stuff still went on.
Right.
Liquor stores were still open.
Hey, I started this over the pandemic, so I mean, hey.
Yeah. Well, it forces you to
think
adapt.
outside the box.
Yes, and they say when you have a situation and the winds are blowing, you can either fight the storm, or you can adjust your sails, and then that, universally speaking, means you adapt. And the realist has to have a balance of, okay, if I want to survive, I'm gonna have to adapt to your surroundings.
Right.
If it's out of your control, you have to just adapt, and it's all a matter of survival.
Right. Now that's our time to just kind of go with the flow, because at the end of the day, if you can't control it, there's nothing you can do about it. All you can do is
be positive.
Try to steer away from the rail
and protect yourself in the best way to stay out of harm's way.
That part.
But then just be positive and do the best you can, because somebody always has it worse.
Yes, it's always
fighting battles behind whatever they're doing, and you just don't even know what that is. So I say save your money, first of all. If I give anybody advice, doing whatever you do, save some money, have a cushion if you can, to get yourself out of something that can happen out of your control.
Yes.
That's my advice.
All right, so this has been a wonderful interview. I have loved this interview, you guys. Yeah. Also,
we'll have to do this again and pick up, and this will be to be continued.
To be continued, and I'm gonna cook for her, and I might do a whole, cooking show for you.
Yeah, and I'll send you some people to interview your way. Some people in the realm that I saw.
That would be lovely. I would love
there's some people that I still keep in touch with and have done some recent appearances with, and will be doing some in the very close future. So I'll be sending some people your way. I do have a website too, gotta say.
Yes.
Shameless promotion here. StephanieNadolny.com is under construction, and it's about to launch soon. It will detail places I'll be, and I'll be having like a gallery of photos and things, and I'll be uploading my music and some work I've done.
I would love to hear some of your music too.
That'd be good.
Yeah. Have a jam session.
Maybe some of my parodies, my comedic parodies that I did for radio. Those are funny.
I would love to hear them.
I need to be. I think of them all the time. I need to be recording them. I need to be set up an at-home studio where I can lay them down. And
but what's your Instagram too?
It's just my name, Stephanie Nadolny. All lower caps. Yep. Okay. And so I'll be out and about. I'll be socially connected in the best way that I can. So
that's great. All right, everybody. Don't forget to follow Trap Anime at Trap Anime Podcast. That's on Instagram and Facebook. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast.
iHeartRadio.
I love iHeartRadio.
I know it.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, guys. And we are out of here.
Thank you so much for having me. Come here,